It's time to talk music, audio gear, and anything else that crosses our minds. I'm Mark.
And I'm Peter.
And welcome to the Hurton Audio Podcast. So, Porter Robinson has just released some brand new tracks for his upcoming album, Smile. We have Cheerleader and Knock Yourself Out. And I have to say, Knock Yourself Out is what really connected with me first. Cheerleader... Not to say words like garish, but I was definitely surprised coming off Nurture what Cheerleader sounded like.
It's a different vibe to Nurture, but I think, again, as you were saying, it takes a bit of, like, a couple of players sometimes, because, as you kept saying about Cheerleader, it's just that the main synth is quite... it's not even aggressive. I don't know how to describe it. It's a lot. But Knock Yourself Out is a bit smoother, and I really like the comedy in both of these songs as well. Like, there's a lot of self-aware humour, and obviously it's Porter Robinson, so the songs are really well produced and really creative. But like, genuinely, I was laughing at Knock Yourself Out. Like, I thought the lyrics were genuinely very funny, and I think there's like an element of like, sort of getting out some of his frustrations, I imagine, from being like starting as an EDM artist, as he's sort of been saying on his Instagram, and then sort of pivoting more into a pop direction.
It's really interesting that Porter Robinson actually refers to what he's doing as pop music, because this is like Knock Yourself Out is kind of what I imagined the sort of the merging of, like, you sort of got like a pop, a real sprinkling of like alt and rock, and then, you know, the electronic side with the drum production. This is sort of like a middle ground that you'd think is really sensible, you know, like for things to sound like. Obviously, you've got like a lot of very simple sort of like chiptune-y layers going on with really lush sound design in the background, and then a really nice. It's hard to really pinpoint what the drum sound is on this. I feel like I know it very well, but to describe it verbally, I'm struggling to articulate what exactly I think it sounds like.
Is it like the high pitch snare?
It's like a trap kit, but it doesn't sound like a trap kit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way it's used. But what I really like about this track is the melodics and the way the track sounds. Like, even if you mute Porter's voice, it has a very like optimistic sort of weightless sort of thing to it.
Yeah, it does. I like there's like this synth in the chorus, like a portmanteau style synth that's really cool, and sort of like really adds it adds like a completely different overtone than just using static chords or something. It's very cool.
But yeah, then it's got a really big bridge, and I don't know why. When they do bridges like this, it sort of takes me to a particular point in time. Like, I feel like the bridge on this screams like late 2000s. Do you know what I mean?
Late? Would you not say early?
I mean, suppose when I say late, I'm thinking like 2007 and stuff. But yeah, I suppose you could say like anywhere in the mid 2000s.
I feel like in the 2010s is where the bridge went to die. Definitely the bridge. There was not a lot of bridges because it was all drops. So you have drops and all that sort of stuff. You got to cut something out if you want to have a song be 3 minutes and have all these different sections. So I do feel like bridges definitely went a bit out on the wayside. Instead of like having guitar solos or having verse threes or whatever, they just tended to. It tended to be like an extra chorus section, didn't it, a lot of the time in a lot of the 2010s songs? Not all of them, but obviously like a good chunk of the pop ones.
But yeah, it's really nice to hear music from Porter Robinson, because some of the artists, they do take a while. So this is, I think, 3 years after Nurture, his last full-length album come out. And Porter Robinson's been going a long time. I know he's got lots of different aliases, so you can't really say that this is his only body of work, but it always surprises me when you have really successful artists like Porter Robinson and you go to the Spotify sort of albums tab and there's like 2 albums there. But I suppose a lot of the dance acts, they do thrive off singles. And like when you think about Porter Robinson's biggest songs, like Shelter and Language, they're not actually on albums. They're just standalone singles. So Porter Robinson sort of like, he's carved like a really strange place out in like the EDM sort of landscape, I feel like. There's, as we've talked about before with like Porter Robinson and Maddie's sort of Secret Sky festival thing, they've got like a really good niche of really interesting electronic artists there, because they're all hyping up Wave Dash at the moment, which is like part of this scene and who has appeared on Secret Sky and stuff before, I'm sure. It's like really optimistic, really melodic EDM for the most part.
Yeah, it's got like a different tonality to it, for sure, and there's a lot of different sort of artistic influences coming into it as well. Like there's a bit of there's a bit of sort of like an anime slight nerd culture coming into like some of these acts, and that's like a sonic thing. It's not even to do with the lyrics, because certain properties have certain sort of sounds, and there's like a very, very subtle sort of Asian influence to like the melodics that they use, I think, from some of the acts, which is really interesting because that's not something you hear a lot of the time. I mean, we've all heard like the Latin influence and how that's like exploded, but I think like when Porter Robinson did Worlds, that was not like it's not a usually taken avenue, if you know what I mean. It's not like a tried and tested thing when you're pivoting into like a sound that's inspired by such rapidly different stuff, especially coming off songs like Language.
I think what's interesting with Worlds, because Worlds was like one of the first EDM albums I really got into, really, when I think about it. And what got me with Worlds is it wasn't just like the entire time. It was like very melodic songs with the EDM sort of instrumentation, like Years of War and stuff. It didn't feel like here's a house beat, then a drop, then a house beat, then a drop. It felt like here's a song, and this is the sonics of the song. And that's what that full album's really good for doing. It was like the first album I heard that sounded like that was Worlds. And I do think it's very interesting how Porter Robinson's changing style each project. But like you say, when you talk about like internet culture, nerd culture, like I think they've even referenced that like I can't remember the exact thing that they said on Porter's Twitter, but they was saying about how this is like there was comparing it to the 1975's A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships, saying that basically this is like the online album. If Nature was the Escape from the World album, this is like the online trolling sort of internet memes album.
Yeah, I think thematically that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
I never thought of it like that.
And you can see exactly like with even like on Cheerleader's single artwork, they've got like the black border and Times New Roman Cheerleader written out like a meme,
Yeah.
Everything about it is like, even with the music videos, is screaming that. Now, what I do think Knock Yourself Out has for me is Cheerleader's very full on, and Knock Yourself Out it's more about the words, and between the video and the song, it's not, I suppose you could say that internet concept isn't as strong in Knock Yourself Out. But
I don't know. I mean, the full thing. Wait. The full thing is like getting back at haters, essentially. Yeah, I would said.
But I think just the video combination and the actual music for Knock Yourself Out is what I really, really like.
Yeah, the video is very good. I mean, both songs have good videos, but Cheerleader, as we were saying, is a lot. It's some people's cup of tea is more than others. I do really like it, but it's just like you were saying, like it'd be one of those people who like wakes up and you're like, right, I'll have my morning coffee, and you just put like the most hard hitting like noise music on possible. Yeah. That's what Cheerleaders for. And it's not even that it's that heavy, it's just full range.
Yeah.
Full range.
Like I say, I'm very interested to see if the other singles that he releases follow or sort of follow the same trajectory, because it's hard when the two singles don't sound that similar. Like the verse for Cheerleader and the verse for Knock Yourself Out are very much the same bag.
Same vibe.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not like Cheerleader's a big departure. It's just that I always sing along in my head to the verse of Cheerleader, and then the chorus just hits you like a brick. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what it does, because like with Nurture, the singles were really, really cool, but there was some very avant-garde tracks like Dull Scythe. There was Do Re, I'm not even going to say...
Do Re Mi Fa Sol La Ti Do.
Yes, that one.
Something like that.
So there was some pretty out there tracks on Nurture, but I really connected with Nurture as a full album. I enjoyed all the stage shows, because like I say, when he was touring Nurture, they had to do it via Secret Sky, and they come up with some really interesting sort of like stage designs. And
also massive props to Port Robinson for just putting like full concerts on YouTube, so anybody who likes him can find it and watch it easily, because I feel like really in this day and age, if a band like is on tour and they're of a size, there should be a way to access the concert experience, whether that's via a ticketed live stream or YouTube or
a standalone video that is like a demo reel, essentially.
But you mean like a concert video?
Yeah, because what I mean is, like, when they upload a full production filmed concert, like a rehearsal almost. It's almost like an advertisement to say, come see me at the gigs, because this is how good I'm going to be.
But my point is like, audiences tend to be quite global, and obviously the tours people can do as global tours as they can do, but there's a lot of places that regularly get missed out. Apparently Spain, from what I've seen in the comments for everything, people aren't going to Spain as frequently maybe as there was. So, you know, if you're in that sort of place in the world where people do tend to skip out on your like city, or your not, if it's your city, that's unlucky. If it's your region, then that's tough. But if it's your entire country, that's really tough. Like, you see some countries just don't get any gigs.
It's very easy in England to complain that they only go to Manchester, London, and like Manchester, London, Belfast, and Glasgow, you know, if you're in the UK.
Yeah.
And then if you don't live in one of those four cities, you have to travel around. But
at least you don't have to hop on a plane.
England is relatively small in comparison to a lot of other countries, and the actual distance to travel is nowhere near as far as if you, say, have one gig in Spain and it's Madrid, and you're at the coast, and you're like, well, that's a long way away.
But as I'm saying, I think like Port Robinson did a really, really good job on Nurture of making his live experience accessible to anybody at home on their phones or on their computers, and that was really cool, because his show was like bonkers for Nurture.
And the other thing that was really cool with Nurture, and what I'm very interested to see what he does with this tour, because he said it's going to be like more rock pop, so I believe he'll be playing guitar. He said he learned how to play guitar for this album. But what was really cool with Nurture is it wasn't a DJ set. It was playing lots of different instruments. You could see that he had a voice change sort of pedal board for all of the not human voices on Nurture and stuff. So it was all being done in real time, which I thought was really cool. Even if you're triggering like Ableton clips and stuff in the background whilst doing stuff over it, it just felt a lot more immediate whenever we saw them tour anything from Nurture. So I suppose maybe coming off Nurture's tour, Porter might go, how can I make this easier for me? And go, well, I can just play guitar and sing, and that's a lot easier now. He could play guitar, sing, and then just have some of his stuff to the side. But I think when they're doing a lot of gigs, a lot of the time it comes from like, what do I want to be doing when I'm on tour? Like if you spend like 50% of the show staring at a launch pad, trying to remember what to trigger, I imagine when you're looking at writing songs, you're going, well, for this song, can I just get away with playing guitar and singing and looking at the crowd
interacting with the crowd as well. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes you can have too much to do, and I think I'm all for live performance, but you want the performance to actually interact in a certain sense. You know, I don't want to be looking at somebody on stage who looks so not stressed or flustered, but like when you've got so many things going on, you know, sometimes that's how I feel about Madian on certain sections of his like DJ sets where they're triggering so many different things.
Or to bring another example, or Geddy Lee in Rush when he's playing bass,
100%.
all keyboards, he's doing the foot pegs and he's singing, and you're looking at him going, there's way too much stuff going on. You know, he's got something to do with every limb, basically. He's got one leg to stand on as Geddy Lee when they're doing the Rush shows. So.
Yeah, I think you can have too much to do when you're on stage, and there's something to be said about just being able to focus on bringing that song to the audience. And I think in this sort of new age of concerts where people just have tracks and that's just accepted and nobody really cares, I think it's interesting because, like, what I imagine Paul Robinson is going to do is he'll have, like, a bunch of songs that he's playing on guitar, a bunch of songs that he's, like, almost doing DJ set style stuff, or where it's, like, heavily clip-based, like, re-triggering, and a couple of songs where he can, like, just run about on different instruments, like, do loops, like, with a piano, and then walk over and do, like, a strum or something, and then sing a bit. But I think that's really forward thinking. I think I don't think it's uncommon for DJs to do that, but I feel like it's definitely not. It's not like a widely adopted like thing to play stuff like that.
This is where the line between DJ and performer sort of blur, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you have very like true like authentic DJs where their full craft is the decks and the turntables. But I've found that, in general, DJs tend to play other people's music. And that sounds really silly when I say it. It sounds really straightforward. But when I say that, I mean, it is very difficult to do a DJ set of just your own music. And it's very hard with DJ sets, even in festivals and stuff. If you go, like, I remember going to see Galantis at one of the festivals and thinking, it's great, but they're not really playing any of the songs or drops I know, because every drop from every song is a different drop.
Everything was a VIP mix, I believe.
It has to be interesting, and it can't sound like they're just playing the MP3s of the songs from how you know them off the CD or whatever to the crowd, because that's boring. So it's hard, because from a fan perspective, you're like, I knew what the chorus for this song sounded like, and now I don't know what I'm listening to.
Well, I mean,
do you know what I'm saying?
With Galantis, it's easier because the songs are so vocal orientated. But I do agree, if you was listening to like Tech House and all of the drops had been changed, it'd be like, well, I'm not sure like what I'm here for, you know, if they're not vocally driven stuff. That's just my opinion though of it, and that's not even a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, it is one of those things where I find DJs naturally they don't want to just play the song normally, because that's rubbish for them, but also feels like they're not doing anything. So they can't just stick like the album on, can they? Like,
they can't just put the normal song on and leave it start to finish, because then it's like they're not doing anything. So
I know there is DJs that, like big DJs, which I won't name, who have said that they literally just drop a CD on and just press play and go, and it's all pre-taped. And I think that's a different type of performance, but I get why people do it. I do get why people do it, you know. But
what I'm sort of comparing this to is you have that line of DJing where it's like you've got your CDJs or whatever device using, and you're very much about mixing and song selection and going, these are the songs I'm listening to. I'm doing a DJ set. I'm not doing a performance that is my catalogue.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas when you go to see like Porter Robinson and Madian or that sort of thing, artists who are doing electronic music, but they're trying to showcase their work, because it's a concert, and at the end of the day, you've gone to see them. And my take on it as well is, if I went to see Porter Robinson and Madian, and over half the tracks was other people's tracks, so they're dropping Wave Dash and that's fine, but that's not why I'm going to go see them. Do you know what I mean? So that's the dilemma you have.
Yeah, you've gone to see the song.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when you see a band like you really like and they play too many covers, and you're like, people, come on, you've got all these albums and you're playing like 5 covers, and you're like, I get that it's nice to play covers sometimes. I get 1 or 2 in a set to keep it interesting, especially if there's like one that's like a track for them and then one that's like a local track, like Coldplay do it.
Yeah, I was just thinking about Coldplay when you were saying that.
But or if there's a guest on, they'll do one for them. But I remember when we went to see Coldplay, and a lot of people were a bit angry that there was so many covers and like DJ set moments and like setup moments, because I suppose there'll be some people who've waited like 10, 20 years to see Coldplay, and they're like, just play a Rush of Blood to the Head,
and
which
also,
I think we did.
When they say, for us, we got to see Craig David, which is great, a little bit more bang for buck, you expected them to bring somebody on. But then if you're not a Craig David fan and you're waiting for Coldplay to play as many songs as possible, it detract from the show. That's your argument, isn't it? And that's the full dilemma with having other people on and like you say, chalking up maybe a tenth of the set to, well, let's do a cover and let's do crowd interaction and let's mess about here. If you have to hold up some crowd interaction stuff for 3 to 5 minutes, as a fan, would you prefer them to run around the stage shouting, or would you prefer to get a song you really like on as well? But then the band can't go on and just play wall-to-wall
Yeah,
hits,
they can't do that.
because then it's boring in a different way.
I know there'll be people who just want the most songs for time spent, but at the end of the day, they've got to tune up. They've got to, I'd say the singers have got to rest their voices, but they never do. They're always shouting. But, I think there's something about the interaction and the moments of like, oh, we're not in a song. Like, where are we going in this concert? Like, what's going to happen? That's fun. But yeah, it's really hard with concerts, because I think for some people as well, I think with the bigger the band is, or the more established the band is, the more people sort of have these expectations of wanting them to play songs that they're not going to play, like really, really deep cuts.
So I've got a question for you regarding Porter Robinson, Peter, right? So what would you do if Porter Robinson went on and he did Languages, but he played it on guitar? He played the lead synth riff and played it on guitar.
I think that would be interesting. Well, I think he could do that, but then he would still play the original to a certain degree, like, because he played it on all the other like live streams and stuff, didn't he? Language.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think he just did it all like on launch pads or on a keyboard or something, didn't he? A lot of it, to keep it fresh. He did live perform a lot of Language, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I think it's tough, because you're sort of saying like when they do like an acoustic track, but it's like Living on a Prayer or something, and you're like, I don't know if this is the acoustic track.
Yeah.
Because this is the track where everybody wants it to be all in. So yeah, I mean, yeah, if he just came on with like an acoustic guitar and did Language and everybody was just chanting it.
I mean, I was thinking more like playing the lead riff on an electric guitar, since he'll have an electric guitar on him probably.
Oh, that would be dope if he does it on electric.
That's what I was thinking. And then have the full band playing it in not that style, but like in...
He had a guitarist come on and play it on guitar.
Oh, did he? What,
yeah, do you remember?
On the longer set?
Yeah, on the festival set. Yeah, he did. He did have a guitarist come on and play it, because there was tapping some of the notes, and I remember that clearly for Language. I remember thinking, I would have never thought to play Language like that, because the Language is, to me, it's very similar to Aerodynamic by Daft Punk, where it's like, it's a synth, but it does lend itself well to electric guitar.
Yeah.
And I'm almost 100% sure they did have a guitar player come play it. I can't remember I think it was one where he said that there was a guitarist and it was like the first ever gig or something, or one of the first gigs.
Oh, that does sound familiar.
And there was like, I'm going to try and do Language.
The other fun thing, because we've actually got tickets to see the new tour next year for Smile, is I would love to see an appearance from DJ Pataro, my favourite DJ from Secret Sky.
If nothing else, merch from DJ Pataro.
Yeah, if nothing else, merch. But Yeah, it's what's really good about Porter Robinson and that full group. Like I say, for me, because I got into them really well when they was doing Secret Sky, it does feel more like a group. But I really like how creative they all are and all the fun in jokes and stuff they have. Like with DJ Patara, like you only know if you watch one of those two DJ Patara sets from Secret Sky. But they was very funny. Particularly the second one.
Yeah, I would say that's a must. It's a must watch. Is the DJ Patara DJ sets on YouTube?
But I just think it's very refreshing to see this sort of like balance of music, because dance music is very much turned into just house and techno again, which isn't a bad thing for a lot of people. But I do think that the EDM stuff was very, very interesting, and it's sort of like stuff that wasn't being done before, and
it kept you on the edge of your seat because you just didn't know what was coming next with the EDM stuff. I mean, the waves came thick and fast at the genre, like the micro genre trends. It was so like, I think everybody just burnt out creatively.
Yeah, and I think the thing is with EDM is that you could have like one lead synth style and you could make an entire album around it. And that's sort of how you feel like some of the people did it. They just had 2 or 3 like sounds, and it was like, right, this is what I'm doing.
I'm going to milk this sound for everything it has.
Yeah, and I don't even think there's a bad thing in that, because, like I say, a lot of like producers meme and clown on. Oh well, they're just using patch 3 on Massive, and it's like, how many guitarists have got their guitar rack and gone, I'll just use preset 2 on my reverb. Preset 2 on my distortion. That's the thing.
Or whatever. Most of it is just, I'm going to use a Fender Bassman and a Klon, and that's no different to using a Juno preset or a Massive preset, in my opinion. Especially when you're rocking like a Strat. I mean, there's nothing. I know it's an instrument and it's slightly different, but at the end of the day, if you're taking the standard or a popular instrument and running it through a common effects process, I don't see how that's much different to just taking a Massive patch and just tweaking one setting. Like, it's the same thing, really. And ultimately, it's the notes you hit that really make a difference. The tone is part of it. The tone is a lot of it, probably more than the notes in a certain sense. That's the thing with Cheerleader, I suppose. You could play that on acoustic guitar or piano, Cheerleader's melody, and it wouldn't sound as big as it does.
Yeah. But it's very refreshing, and I'm very excited because Madian has already said that he's not putting any more music out this year solo. So I'm like, I'll have to put all my eggs in this basket for a while. Yeah, hopefully there's more singles. Does the album come out in June?
I think it's June, yeah.
So I'm very interested to see what the rest of the album sounds like. I don't really have any predictions for what's going to be on the album because it's going to be so wild that I won't be able to see any of it come in. But there's not many albums that come out that are like that, where you can really go, this could sound like anything. This could take a massive...
Well, except for Wave Dash. I mean, we was listening through a lot of them songs on Wave Dash, and it was like, wow, that is a mixed bag right there.
Yeah, because All You Love is great. And then it goes very hard.
There were some heavy ones, very heavy ones.
But yeah, what are your favourite EDM albums, and do you even listen to EDM albums? That's the thing, because it's weird with EDM as a genre, because for a lot of it isn't albums, and it isn't like one sound. Like, you have a lot of people like Galantis that every song is a different like style.
Yeah.
And there's like 15 songs, and they're all from a... They're almost like greatest hits albums, a lot of dance albums.
Galantis' new album definitely will be, yeah.
So it's very interesting to see EDM approach. I mean, I feel like it's almost hard to call this Porter Robinson album an EDM album, but...
Yeah, it's not. It's more... It's like an alternate... I think alternative is all you can call it. I think when you said earlier about how it's like got an alternative like thread to it, I do think that's true, because realistically, that's what alternative is. It's, look, there's a pop structure here, but sound design and like performance wise, it's quite ambiguous, and that's really what the new songs sound like to me.
Yeah, it's really nice to hear it as a body of work. That's sort of the point I'm getting at. To have a body of work that has a sonic sound to it. That's what's really refreshing. So yeah, hopefully that comes out in June and it's really good.
I think
we
it
really
will.
like it. I think it will, but you know what I mean. And on that note, see you next week, everybody.
See you
Thanks
next
for
week.
listening.